Welcome in, episode 207, What's Right with Nick Wright. Oh, what a day to have a platform, to have a microphone. In the last 24 hours, Pete Carroll out, Nick Saban retires, Stephen A. Smith goes scorched earth on my only sworn enemy in the media, and that dates back 20 years for me. I was a little upset I wasn't included in the list of associates and enemies on Stephen A.'s rant last night. And now the GOAT head coach is gone in New England. So we will get into all of that. But first, what missed the cut on today's show? Kawhi Leonard. Listen, whenever a guy shows you he can stay healthy for 3 months, you got to triple down with a 3-year, $153 million extension. That's not in the show. Victor Wembanyama records his first career triple-double. That's not in the show. And some stupid tweet comparing two quarterbacks that is beneath us and beneath the show and does not need to... Jesus, man. Trevor Lawrence, Mac Jones. Get out of NFL on CBS saw that their Trevor Lawrence, Daniel Jones tweet did so well, so they doubled down with a Trevor Lawrence, Mac Jones tweet. So before we get to Belichick, and hi, Damonza, look great, love the sweater.
Thank you.
I'm not going to, because of the news and because of everything, I'm not going to get into the Aaron Rodgers thing today. The Belichick news is more noteworthy, and listen, he did exactly what we said last week we thought he would do. Who, me, what, huh? No, never. How could you believe it? And if you want to hear my full, deeper thoughts on that, not to promote a different podcast on this podcast, but I joined Ethan Strauss last night for an hour on his House of Strauss new YouTube page. I know his Substack is subscription, but I think the YouTube thing is not paywalled. I'm not sure. I'll see if Ethan can, if there is a paywall for it, if he can take it down for this episode. If you want to hear my reaction to Ethan's articles and to what Aaron said on Tuesday, you can listen to it there. But there's actual sports news to get into. So, Damonza, go right ahead.
All right, breaking news. Legendary head coach Bill Belichick and the Patriots look like they are officially splitting ways. You kind of called it this.
Yep.
You hinted at it for like the last 3 or 4 months. What are your instant reactions and thoughts on his legacy as a whole?
Okay, so he's the greatest NFL coach ever. And that's almost a universally held opinion. But I think there are some really interesting angles here and thought exercises, and that's what I want to spend the bulk of this first 20 minutes of the show on. So I went back this morning after the news broke to Belichick's famous grand opening, grand closing press conference. And one of the fun things with the Jets, and one of the fun things about doing this show with Damonza, and this is not a shot at all at Damonza, is some of this stuff that people my age know chapter and verse. This happened literally when Damonza was months old, and this will be kind of probably breaking news to him, but Bill Belichick in 1999 was named the head coach of the New York Jets, and at what was supposed to be his introductory press conference, jotted down on a napkin, "I resign," and his introductory press conference, he's like, actually not taking the job. And I went back, and then Damonza knows nothing of this story. And the reason I went back and watched it, and the Patriots then traded for him to be their head coach, and they went on. The reason I went back and watched it was because that was the last time Bill Belichick spoke representing anyone other than the Patriots. It's been a quarter century of him doing these press conferences in front of Patriot logos, in front of Patriot stuff as a Patriot head coach. And after today's farewell press conference, the next time he speaks will be with another team. And one part of that jumped out to me, which is during that press conference, he says, listen, I'm going to take the rest of today to spend time with my family, but tomorrow I'll do all the interviews you guys want. He's like, if you give me today and don't inundate me with it, tomorrow I'll be as available as you want because I know you're going to have a lot of questions. And he's like, so that means newspaper, TV, radio. And then pause for a moment and says internet. And the assembled press laughs. And they laugh because it's like, oh, you're talking about the internet. You're going to do interviews with the internet. And it was such like a silly throwaway thing. And I was like, God dog it, man. Belichick's career with the Patriots spanned the time to where the internet was thought of as a throwaway whatever to where we are today. The entire growth and breadth and change of the media landscape in reference to the internet happened while Bill Belichick coached the Patriots. So that's one hell of a run, one hell of a career. And the other thing that I thought about today was we have the greatest football coach ever in Belichick and one of the best coaches of the modern era in Pete Carroll, both being forced out essentially from their jobs within 24 hours of each other. And the symmetries are not just that Bill Belichick succeeded Pete Carroll in New England. Pete Carroll was the last Patriots head coach before Bill Belichick. The symmetries are also what allowed those guys to become who they were was bold, unprecedented at the time, decisions regarding their quarterbacks. So, when Bill Belichick took over the New England Patriots, Drew Bledsoe, former number 1 overall pick who had taken the Patriots to a Super Bowl, was their quarterback. Bill Belichick had coached the Cleveland Browns, intermittent success, but no great run, been fired there. Coached the Patriots. They were a 5-win team. Bledsoe got the biggest contract, the first $100 million contract in NFL history. And then early in the 0-1 season, Mo Lewis hit him on the sideline, collapsed his lung, and he had to go to Brady. And then Drew Bledsoe was healthy a month later. And Bill Belichick said, sticking with Brady. And that decision then was the single biggest domino in the next 20 years of a dynasty. Pete Carroll was a head coach of the Seattle Seahawks. He had been a head coach in New England, had been fired, had not succeeded, got the Seahawks job. They went out and signed Matt Flynn to a massive offseason contract. They drafted Russell Wilson in the 3rd round. And Pete Carroll, staying true to his mantra of we compete every day, at training camp said 3rd round rookie has the job. He gives us the better option. And that then led to that Seahawks mini dynasty or run. And then what happened to Bill? The marriage with the quarterback fell apart. He didn't have the right answers after, and it led to his ouster. And what happened with Pete? The marriage with the quarterback fell apart. He didn't have the right answers, and it led to his ouster. And I find the symmetry of those things very interesting because it is such a good
Are you in any way
analogy
saying
is the wrong
that
word.
those
Go
quarterbacks
ahead.
kind of made those coaches?
No, so that's not what I'm saying. I know some people will say that. What I'm saying is this. What allowed Belichick to be Belichick was courage in his convictions. I do not care what the outside world believes. I think this is the right choice. It might frustrate my bosses. It might be unpopular. But I am going to stay true to what I believe is best and plow ahead. That was the key moment for he and Carroll when at that moment in time, when Carroll went to Wilson, when Bill stuck with Tom Brady, not only were they not Hall of Fame coaches, not only were they not champions, they had not succeeded. They had both been fired at their first job. They both had intermittent at best results at this job. And they were probably on their last opportunities to be head coaches in the NFL. And they said, bleep it. I'm doing what not the easy thing, the tough thing. Everyone expects me to go with the quarterback we signed to the massive deal. No one expects me to go with the unproven rookie or first-year or second-year guy in Brady. I believe in it. That's what opened the door to having success available. What made so that is a lesson for everybody. It's a lesson for everyone. That if you really believe in something, go with it. Trust your instincts and sink or swim on that. Don't fail because you didn't go with what you believed in. But the second lesson is this. No matter how great you are, man, it takes help. Everything in life is collaborative. Everything in life, you are going to succeed more if you have a great partner. If you have a great either number 2 or 1A or whatever it is. And I'm not saying Brady made Belichick or Belichick made Brady. I truly believe they made each other. That they are the sum is greater than the individual parts 100%. And then the last lesson for both of these guys is when you have that success, don't let ego and bullshit be the reason it ends earlier than it's supposed to. And I think with Pete Carroll and Russ, it was more Russ's egos than Pete. I think with Tom and Bill, it was more Bill's ego than Tom. But the fact of the matter is, and even though Tom went and won that Super Bowl, it was not the ending anybody exactly wanted. And for Bill, it ended up being the end of his run. For Pete, it ended up being the end of his run. And so, go ahead.
You're saying that they're done?
They're done with those teams.
The end of their run with their respective team. Oh, gotcha.
Exactly. Yeah. And we'll talk about where Bill could go in a moment. But those are all real big macro life stuff, right? And Belichick's career, if you're a football fan, spans so much, man. He figured out as a defensive coordinator how to slow down the best offense of an era when he was with the Giants and shut down the Bills in that Super Bowl the Giants had no business winning. He figured out defensively how to slow down the greatest show on turf, how to slow down McVay's Rams, how to slow down Andy Reid and Mahomes' Chiefs. He figured these things out defensively unlike anybody we've ever seen. And then offensively, how many reinventions did they have? We're going to be a run-oriented, quarterback don't make mistakes, lean on the defense team in the early 2000s. We are going to have the highest scoring, highest flying offense in the history of football with Randy Moss in the late 2000 aughts. We are going to use the numbers against the defense by having 2 dual threat tight ends like no team has ever had in the early 2010s with Gronk and Hernandez. We are going to make the slot receiver a deadly weapon in a way nobody has with Welker, Edelman, Amendola. Finding new ways, finding different things when the rest of the world is zigging or zagging. We are not necessarily going to zig, but we are going to figure out what opportunities their zags allow for. Oh, everyone's worried about the pass, so they are putting more small, fast people on the field. Instead of trying to out-fast them, Should we maybe then we'll be the team that has more big people on the field and we'll try to beat them up? It's just a brilliant career that kind of had a shitty ending because you didn't make it work at the end with your partner. And that, by the way, is the story of basically every band that's ever existed at a high level. It's the story of so many television shows in MySpace where it's like, man, you guys had a great thing. What happened? Well, who gets the credit? Who gets the most money? Who gets to be on the front of the poster? All those things. That's what happens. And no matter how great you are, and maybe the greater you are, you can fall prey to it. Now, I will say this. There is not, you cannot write the Belichick story without acknowledging that the cheating scandals are a real piece of it. They just are. And it's not the biggest piece of it, but Belichick being more than slapped on the wrist multiple times throughout his career in New England is part of his legacy. Is it enough to knock him out of the GOAT conversation? No.
No, he cheated multiple times.
Well,
I knew about the Deflategate. That's one of them, right?
So Spygate was the real one beforehand. Spygate of surreptitiously recording your opponent. And that got him twice. That got him once early in the run, and then happened again late in the run recently when he was taping the Bengals, reportedly, and they got in trouble for it. Deflategate got laid at the feet of Brady. Then there was also a bunch of other, it doesn't feel right, which was the opponents always saying their coach-to-quarterback communication system would go out randomly, but at the key moments of football games when they were playing in Gillette. And stuff that now that's a different bucket. That's more speculation than we can prove it, but it was just enough there where you're like, So that's a piece of it. And if we're going to be fair to a guy, if a guy dies, you're not really supposed to talk about this stuff unless the guy was just like an evil bad guy the day after. Retiring or stepping away from a team's different. He's not dead. He's going to go get another job, and we can tell the full, true, honest story of it. And so that, combined with the fact that at the end, the modern offense seemed to pass him by, and at the end, he seemed to only want to hire his sons or friends, that is a piece of the legacy. And if and when someone were to approach his success, then can that be a GOAT tiebreaker? Sure. Yeah. If for instance, Andy Reid wins this year's Super Bowl and another one in 2 years, and then it's like, oh, okay, he's Belichick's first, or right now second, in all-time wins, but Reid is fourth. Belichick went to 9-1-6. Andy, by the math that I'm doing right there, went to 6-1-4, but did it without ever losing draft picks for cheating, and had high levels of success with non-Hall of Fame quarterbacks, and then a dynasty with a Hall of Fame quarterback, then that can be part of the discussion. But right now, he's so far past the field in the coach GOAT stuff that this stuff is not enough to drag him down. But it is part of the story. And it is a fascinating career. It is a one-of-a-kind career. And it all started with him believing in himself. I believe this is right, and I am willing to expend real capital with my boss, with the fans, with the media, because I think on the other side, it will be the right decision. And I have massive respect for that. And then at the end, ego and stuff gets in the way a bit. And it's not that I have disrespect for that, but it is a good lesson for all of us. That, and if you guys think I'm talking about my personal or professional life, I of course am. I am worried that in the next couple years, Damonza, the more and more he gets recognized at Equinox and things like that, is going to come to me and be like, listen, man, I need a bigger title on the podcast and more money or I'm breaking this thing up. And so so if you're thinking that I am, you know what I mean, I'm projecting a bit, maybe I am. All right, so Damonza, what are the follow-up questions here?
Yeah, so with everything being said, do you think with Belichick and Pete Carroll being the two oldest coaches in the NFL, don't you think it's more likely that they walk away than come back and continue to coach?
Pete Carroll, yes. Belichick, no. Belichick wants Shula's record. And he needs, 15 wins for the record. And so, no. I do not think he's walking away, which then leads us to where should he go, right?
Right.
And my answer to that question is, I think wherever he's going, the job is not open yet. Some of these playoff teams are going to fire their coach. They just are. Happens every year.
McCarthy, after Jordan Love goes out there and slings it on him.
So, if the Cowboys lose this weekend, yes, that is where Belichick should go. McCarthy will be fired for that, and that is the perfect spot. We've talked about this on a month on the podcast ever since Nora Princiati first brought it up on The Ringer, and people might wonder why I keep referencing that. I think it's important in our business if somebody says something that is way out of left field, and then all of a sudden, and they're the only one saying it, and then all of a sudden it starts to gain momentum wherever it is, I think they deserve credit for being the first person to throw it out there. Nobody was talking about that. She mentioned it a month ago, and it's nestled inside my brain as like, oh, that's fascinating. You have the talent, you have the quarterback, you have the offensive weapons, you have all this other talent on defense. You could get that record in 2 years, and you could maybe win a Super Bowl, and people like, could Bill work for Jerry? A, it wouldn't be long-term. B, his mentor, Bill Parcells, worked for Jerry. And so, and by the way, that's another one. When I'm talking about you collaborate, you come together, it's great, then egos get in the way. Jerry Jones and Jimmy Johnson. They won 2 Super Bowls, were amazing, it was great, and then egos and everything, it blows up. It's a story of a lot of teams, there's a lot of examples of that. I don't think, though, that the Cowboys are going to lose in round 1. I'm not certain that McCarthy would get fired for losing in round 2. I'm pretty damn confident he wouldn't get fired for losing in round 3. But that is the job Bill should hold out hope for. Do you know what I'm going to say the other one is? A team that I do think is going to lose in round 1.
And it's completely fueled
What am I
going
to
to
say?
You're going to say
hate?
Yes, hate. You're going to say Philly and Sirianni.
I am.
Yeah.
And it's not fueled by hate. It is to me, totally sober, logical analysis of, I am not saying Sirianni should be fired if they lose to Baker in round 1. I am saying this. If Bill Belichick would take the job, you fire
He's
Sirianni.
out of there.
Flatly. And for Eagle, and I don't even think Eagle fans.
Would you say the same?
Really...
Wouldn't you say the same thing about McCarthy? Like, even if they win in round 1,
well,
round 2 gets
no,
fired,
the thing is
Belichick wants the job?
Yeah, if McCarthy loses at home in round 1 or 2, yes. I think it's a weird look to fire him if he makes the first conference championship game the team's made in almost 30 years. You know what I mean? Or if they make the Super Bowl, you can't fire him. But yeah,
Right.
but the distinction between McCarthy and Sirianni, or McCarthy, Sirianni, and Belichick is this. Let's just say, Belichick's already out. Let's say Sirianni were fired today, McCarthy were fired today. Belichick is definitively getting a job as a head coach somewhere. McCarthy is probably getting a job as a head coach somewhere. 3 straight 12-win seasons. If Nick Sirianni gets fired, what job is he being offered? Just tell me. It's not a head coaching job. I promise. No, he's just not.
Just got their new head
and
coach,
so maybe an offensive coordinator. The Panthers don't have their new head coach. They don't have one yet. They have the interim coach. Am I tripping? What?
Yeah, you're probably right. The Panthers, I'm sure, would lick their chops at Nick Sirianni.
No, they would not.
Okay.
He's not gonna. If he were fired, he's not gonna. His next job's not gonna be a head coach. I'm just telling you. So if I were Belichick, I would wait and see what happens in those spots. The other playoff now, I'll give you one more that Broussard mentioned. That if I were Belichick, I would be interested in. What if the Steelers beat Buffalo? Are we 100% certain Sean McDermott's safe? 100%? If Buffalo loses a 10-point favorite at home to Mason Rudolph after having to fight and claw to get into the playoffs, I'm not. So if I'm Belichick, I am waiting and seeing. Because some of these jobs are going to be open. They just are. And so I would not go to Atlanta or Washington. I just wouldn't. Now, I'd love to go to Chicago, but Chicago's keeping Eberflus for reasons I don't understand. All right, so go ahead, Damonza. Go ahead.
You think the Pats are going to get anything in return for Belichick? Like, how does that even work? Okay.
No, so if they were to try to trade him, they could, but that's not what's happening here. So they are going to have to start over. And everybody thinks they're going to get Vrabel. If I'm Vrabel, I don't want that job. I understand there's history there. He won the Super Bowls there. I get all that. That team stinks. And here's the thing about looking at divisions if I'm looking for a head coaching job. I don't need to be in a division like the NFC South where there's not any great team. But I don't want to be in a division where there's clearly 2. So, like, the AFC West the Chargers job is not a bad job. People are like, you got to compete with Mahomes. Yeah, but that's the only one in the division you got to compete with. So right. I would be more nervous about, like, going to the NFC West, right? Take Seattle's job. Like, God dog it. I got to compete with Shanahan and McVay. I got to compete with the Niners and the AFC East. You feel like, gosh darn it, I got to compete with the Bills and the Dolphins. That's a tough, for whoever comes into New England. The AFC North, you feel like you got to compete with 4 teams. And so, if you're Vrabel, I wouldn't want that gig. And here is the other interesting thing. Did Robert Kraft just make the same mistake with head coach that Bill Belichick made with quarterback? I moved on from the GOAT without having a clear plan on how I'm replacing it. It's on the board. Let's see if they get Vrabel. And I know Gerard Mayo's there. We'll see if that were to work. He'd be a rookie head coach. I do know this, that the Patriots are now the Tennessee Titans in the sports talk world. The Patriots are now the let me find another. The Atlanta Falcons. They're just not on the list of relevant teams. They are a team that used to be great, but now has no star power and doesn't have the coach, which was the reason we cared about them. Like, they are out in the wilderness of just the others. And I don't know, again, like that shouldn't impact Kraft or any of that, but I'm talking about from a list of teams that it's like, oh man, they're talked about on shows like mine all the time. The Patriots are now at the bottom of the list. They are as irrelevant of a team as there is. Now we'll see if they draft the right quarterback, see if they get the right coach, but for the time being, that's where they're at. Okay, so that's where, I think that was a really good 30 minutes on Belichick, on life, on Damonza's ego, one day being the downfall of the What's Right podcast. We have a gambling show. No, thank you. I appreciate that, pal. We have a gambling show to do, and it is now time to revisit our preseason futures. The knife has been twisted fully. I'll explain what I mean next. What's right? Welcome back to What's Right with Nick Wright, episode 207. This episode is brought to you by U.S. Bank. Winter can be a drag. Thankfully, we've got sports to get us through the early part of the year, and if you ask me, nothing goes together quite like food and sports, obviously, especially this time of year. Got NFL playoffs, pro hoops, and I could be plopped down on my couch until the weather gets warm again. The U.S. Bank Altitude Go Visa Signature Card provides the perfect way to earn rewards, whether you're watching your team with other fans at a local restaurant or in the comfort of your living room. Earn 4 times points when you dine out or have food delivered. Maybe order a pizza and watch the big game on that big screen TV of yours. Earn 2 times points at grocery stores, which is great if you're making nachos at home. And if you're willing to brave the elements, even getting to the game can be rewarding. You'll earn 2 times points at gas stations and EV charging stations. Go to usbank.com/altitudego to learn more about how you can earn 20,000 bonus points worth $200 if you spend $1,000 in the first 90 days of opening your account. Score big with the U.S. Bank Altitude Go Visa Signature Card. Visit usbank.com/altitudego to apply and live every day your way. Limited time offer. The creditor and issue of this card is U.S. Bank National Association, pursuant to a license from BC USA Incorporated. Some restrictions may apply. All right, before we get to the gambling recap, a couple final Belichick points that I forgot to bring up. Damonza, one of your follow-ups you were going to ask was, am I worried about Andy Reid? The older coaches are retiring. So, right. Andy Reid, I do not believe is retiring anytime soon. Florio keeps throwing out there, could Reid retire after this season? That's another place that if I were Bill, I'd want to wait and see. Like, okay, maybe it's not. I don't see it at all, but I'm saying it's out there. I don't see it at all. But, yeah, if you're Belichick and you're like, yeah, I'll go coach Patrick Mahomes. Offense pretty well. I'll go And then, here's the other thing. Is Gabe here, our resident Jets fan, Patriot hater, who today he's so happy about? And I'm not trying to bring Gabe down, but I do want some context here. So, Bill Belichick, in the last 3 years, went, I want to make sure I have this math right. Yeah, I do. He went 22 and 29. Is that right? Yeah, 22 and 29 with 1 playoff appearance. And the Patriots said, nope, don't care that you've won 6 Super Bowls. That's not good enough. You're out of here. Mike Vrabel, who just got fired. In the last 3 years, Mike Vrabel went 25 and 26. With 1 playoff appearance, and the Tennessee Titans said, don't care you've been to a conference championship game, don't care we traded away our best player, you're out of here. Pete Carroll, the last 3 years, went also 25 and 26, with one playoff appearance. And the Seattle Seahawks said, don't care you won a Super Bowl here, went to another one, you're out of here. Big Bob Saleh, over the last 3 years, has gone 18-33, has won 2 total divisional games, and the New York Jets are like, come on back, Bobby. You got unfinished business here. So all these Jets fans being like, oh, we put Belichick out. His final game was losing to us. Every other team that has had massively more success with massively more established coaches are like, you're out. Meanwhile, Bobby Saleh can sit there and just look angry on the sideline and confused. And the Jets are like, you know what? He hasn't had enough time. So I'm not here. Listen, I'm not here for Jet fans' victory laps today. I'm just not. All right, so sorry, Gabe. Had to do it to you. Didn't really have to, but wanted to. All right. So before the year, we do a gambling show. And we'll get to my actual bets that I make in real life. Did Gabe just come in? Does Gabe want your microphone?
Yeah,
is Gabe trying to displace you?
Gabe gave me the finger, but I think he was trying to give it to me to then give to you.
Wow.
Oh, he's in here.
Wow.
He's in
listen.
Here. No, he's taking.
Okay.
I don't.
Yeah, okay.
No, I don't want to derail the podcast. I want you to talk about gambling. I just give us 30 seconds of enjoyment. That's all we want.
I gave you 30 minutes, and then I had to bring you back down to earth, Jets fans. Okay. I'm just letting you know. Sorry. All right. So before the year, I look at all the possible futures, and I give my lean on them, and then I make my actual bets on the ones I had the most conviction on. And I didn't do great on the futures bets I made. We'll get to those in a moment. But what makes it more painful is how perfectly I did on the bets I didn't make. And I have the document. So I am going to go through it. Cardinals, total 4.5. This bet is an under, but it feels too square to make. Under hit. Bills, 10.5. What I wrote, this is the perfect line. Well, they had 10 wins going into the final game of the year, and they had a second half comeback to win it. So it was the perfect line. Broncos, under 8.5. Feels like an under, but maybe there's Sean Payton magic. There was Sean Payton magic, and it was an under. Lions, 9.5. I said this line's exactly right, so I was off on that, but I didn't bet it. Texans, 6.5. This is what I wrote. I like the under, but maybe D'Amico Ryans does something great, so I didn't bet it. My head was correct. Raiders, 6.5. This is what I wrote. The over is the bet, but we won't ever bet on Josh McDaniels and Jimmy G. The over hit because they fired McDaniels and benched Jimmy G. So I got it exactly right. And so, all right, next. I wrote Chargers, 9.5, perfect line. I was wrong on that. It wasn't a perfect line. Vikings, 8.5. I wrote, this is the exact right number. Saints, 9.5. Love the under, but a little too much juice on it at minus 140. They finished with 9 wins. Okay. I then called the Bucks, Titans, and Commanders all stayaways. Then there was this category. And this is the one that is real pain. True pain. The category was would bet, but there's a better way to make this bet. And this is where I outsmarted myself. Okay? Steelers, 8.5 over. I wrote, love it, but there's a better bet. We'll get to what that was in a moment. Dolphins, 9.5 over. Love it, but there's a better bet. The Steelers won 10, the Dolphins won 11. Packers, 7.5 over. Love it, but there's a better way to make this bet. The Packers won 9 games. Or 10. Falcons. 8.5 over. There's a better bet here. That one they missed on the final day of the season. And Jets. 9.5 under. We love this bet. But there's a better bet. Is what I wrote on these. Okay? So that was 5 bets that I went 4-1 on that I didn't make because I thought I had better versions of them. And then, spoiler alert, on the better versions of them, instead of going 4-1, I went 1-4. Just the bleeping worst. Now to our actual wagers, Damonza, and we'll do
a lot of red.
We'll do the math here. Go ahead.
All right, so we got win total. Or we started off with win totals. You had Bears.
Gabe just texted me. Congrats on being the Bob Sala of picks. All right, Gabe, that's enough out of you. But go ahead.
You had Bears under 7.5 at plus 100. That one cashed.
That's a winner.
Just go through the whole.
All right, so I'm going to do the math here. No, go one by one. Go ahead, next.
You got Chicago. They went 7-10. Oh, no, sorry. You got the Cowboys over 9.5 at minus 162. That also cashed.
No, that's not it, though. Look at the screen, though. It was the Dallas over. I changed that, remember, to Dallas over 10.5, which was the better number, and I won that one. So now we are.
And you got Jags.
So we're plus. All right. Okay. God dog it. Go ahead. Yeah. Next.
Jags over 10.5 plus 145.
So that one I actually feel a little bit better on because the Jags, what I wrote in the doc was Jags over 9.5 at minus 144. Let's get a better number and go Jags over 10.5 at plus 145. They were 8-3. Trevor got hurt and it derailed me, but so I lost money there. All right, next.
Kansas City over 11.5. I would have thought that would have been good.
I wrote locked every year. They finished 11-6, missed it by a half game. Yeah, so go ahead. All right, next.
You got Patriots over 7.5 at plus 116.
Yeah. So I don't know what I was thinking there. And I mean, I do know what I was thinking, which was last year they won 7 and they had the worst quarterback play in the league. Why would they not win more? That was a terrible bet, but what are you going to do? Next.
You got Eagles under 11.5 at minus 128. You said we love
winner, chicken dinner. Team started 10-1 and somehow hit the winner. Give me that one. I deserve.
That's
next.
Insane, by the way. But 49ers under 10.5 at plus 132. You just said we're fading the Niners because they have Brock Purdy.
Yep, and they ended up winning 12 games, so that one didn't work out well. Go ahead.
And you got Seahawks over 8.5 at minus 142.
Okay, so look, I just did all the math based on what I said before the year was I was putting $1,000 on each of these. So the plus money ones, you bet $1,000 to win whatever the plus money is, and the minus money ones, like if it's minus 128, I bet $1,280 to win $1,000. So on the win totals, over-unders, believe it or not, thanks to the sharp, plus minus stuff, I won $710. Okay? Which then, had I just gone with my good bet, would bet situation there, I would have then had 1, 2, 3, 4, plus 4,000, minus 1,320.
Or had you believed in Brock Purdy,
I'd be up 30. Shut up. I'd be up 3,400 had I just done the would bet. Instead, I did these truly disastrous division winner bets. And let's go through them because they absolutely obliterated me.
The chat,
obliterated me.
The chat's saying you probably also have the winning lottery ticket number, but you just haven't placed it yet.
I did check the archives. I did. This is all on video. Go back and check the preseason gambling show. I said all this stuff, and now we're about to see a shit ton of red. Just give me the division winner bet.
So division winner bets. You got Miami.
Okay, let me take over here for a moment.
Explain.
These are all losers, okay? Miami plus 290. At one point, they were minus 600. And then they totally collapsed. Green Bay plus 350. I don't think that was a terrible bet. I think it was decent value. They finished second. Lions were better than I thought they were going to be. Pittsburgh plus 470 is a bad bet. Baltimore's better than I thought. Seattle plus 230. That was a bad bet. Atlanta plus 210. I mean, they were alive on the final day of the regular season. They could win the division on the final day of the regular season. That wasn't a terrible bet, but it didn't work out. And then the one that really, really brutalized me. The Jags in Kansas City at plus 156. By the way, Miami was plus 290. Green Bay was plus 350. Pittsburgh was plus 470. So had I just won the Miami bet, which I should have, it would have taken care of three of these other ones. Seattle was plus 230. Atlanta was plus 210. And then Jags Kansas City. I just need the Jags to not full-blown collapse. And that was, if you remember, a 2-unit bet at plus 156. And then Pittsburgh, Miami, Green Bay was a quarter unit bet at 99-1. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 for Jags KC. Jesus. 72.50 on division winner bets. Sweet Christ. All right.
You've got
so
about
now
3
after
or
the
4
division
Jags
winner
bets
bets
in here in totality, and all of them are red.
I know. The Jags cost me all of it. All of it. I'll do the math in a minute, but I'm going to prove it to you. The Jags losing that final game of the year, how much it cost me is, well, I'll show you. But right now, after the division winner bets, I'm stuck $6,540 on my preseason bets. And I make these bets, by the way. There's real money out the door. Now to the make-miss playoffs bets.
All right, you got Kansas City, Dallas, and Jacksonville to all make it at plus 160. Jacksonville will not.
And that was another 2-unit bet. That was another 2-unit bet, okay? And again, Kansas City locked with weeks to go. Dallas locked with weeks to go. Jacksonville was 8-3 and fell apart. So that's minus 2,000. All right, the Jets to miss. Thank Christ. Finally a winner at plus 110. Should have put 100 units on it. I mean, it's just so maddening. And then this last one, Cleveland Jets and Detroit to miss. Obviously, I went only 1 for 3, but that was only a quarter unit. So that is, that cost me $250. So I finished the year with this minus 76.90. I, though, want to show you what I would have finished if the Jags had won the final game of the year. If the Jags had won the final... So, Monty, just remember the number 76.90. It's easy. If the Jags had won the final game of the year, they would have made the playoffs, which would have meant instead of losing $2,000, I would have won $3,200 on that 2-unit bet. Right?
Okay.
So that is a $5,200 swing on just that bet. And then the Jags Chiefs parlay, Jags to make the playoffs instead of Jags and Chiefs both to win the division, Instead of losing $2,000, I would have won plus 156. So I would have won 3,120. So, right? Is that right? Yeah. 3,120. So plus. So, how much did I say I lost, Damonza, on the year?
76.90.
76.90. Instead, I would have been up 26.30. So, when I say that game was a swing, that game represented the Jags-Titans game, when Trevor reached for the goal line and was an inch short, represented a swing of how much? That one game.
I can't read.
$10,320.
Oh, okay. Yeah, man. I think you should probably start listening to your instincts, like Belichick and Pete Carroll.
My instincts were bet the Jags. I didn't know Trevor was going to get hurt. All right, last thing, though, because despite all of it, still sneaky alive for a huge year. I just need to get the Super Bowl right. Oh, boy. Those aren't green or red, which means they're both alive. I got the 2 seed and the 3 seed, Kansas City, Dallas, to make the Super Bowl at plus 50, and Kansas City defeat Dallas in the Super Bowl at 50-1. So if we get a Kansas City Dallas Super Bowl on the year, I win just over 23. And if we get Kansas City beating Dallas on the year, I win just over 83. So we're not dead yet. And the Jags killed me, and me trying to outsmart Vegas killed me. That's the reality of it. And we're accountable on this show. We're not going to be out here being some tout that's acting like, we every year we have winning years. This was a tough one. I don't need this recap screen on the screen. Let's move on to last week, which was the final week of the year, my chance to get at 500, and we went 2-3. God, dog it. This was frustrating.
Yep. You got Cleveland
plus 7 total
Cincinnati.
loser. New England minus 1.5 total loser. Detroit minus 3.5 great bet. The Giants plus 5.5 they won outright. And Miami how they didn't cover 3. They win the whole game, stupid punt return. But that's okay. Now we get to our actual wild card picks. Damonza, I'm going to tell you right now, the first 2 I don't feel great about.
Okay.
But I pick every game. My dream of going 13-0 in a playoffs stays alive, at least until the games kick off. The first 2 I don't feel great about. Give me the first one.
Your first one's Cleveland minus 2.5 at Houston.
Okay, I really don't like taking a road favorite, and I really don't like going with the worst quarterback. So you might say, why would I not take Houston? I do not think Houston's front is going to be able to block Cleveland's front. And Houston, if you can, because of their wide receiver injuries, if you can take away Nico Collins, and I think Jim Schwartz's defense is going to be able to, you can make that offense grind to a halt. So you have a Cleveland team that is rested because they sat everyone of importance in Week 18 against a Houston team coming off a massive emotional win that they maybe got a little lucky on at the end. I don't love it, but I'll take Cleveland minus 2.5 in round 1 at Houston. And so that's where I'm at on that. Damonza, the next one. And I'll tell you why I don't feel great about the next one.
Kansas City minus 4.5 versus Miami.
Okay, here's why I don't love this one. Because I'm just getting a terrible number. This line opened at 1.5, instantly got bet up to 2.5, 3. And now, as the weather reports have come out throughout the week and more Miami injury reports, the line has creeped all the way to 4.5. So, as the show makes fun of me for, though, while I don't always bet on the Chiefs, if I bet a Chiefs game, it is always on the Chiefs. I never go against them in these spots. I also think Miami is going to be too cold to play football. I don't think they're prepared for these elements, and I think the elements are going to play a major factor in a number of games this weekend. I think the Chiefs resting last week is super helpful. Miami's obviously playing its worst football of the year. Mahomes is, without exaggeration, the greatest statistical playoff quarterback of all time. He is first all time in winning percentage, completion percentage, yards per game, passer rating, touchdown interception ratio. I think Miami is, while the Chiefs' offense is not great, Miami's defense is so banged up. I think the Chiefs' offense could look good against them, and I don't love swallowing the full 4.5 points, but I will. My Kansas City minus 4.5 against Miami, and They're the home team. They're the better team. They're playing better as of late. Next.
You've got Pittsburgh plus 10 at Buffalo. Feel good about that one, huh?
It's just well, it's just way too many points for what's going to be a wind snowstorm. I mean, there's going to be a foot of snow. There's going to be massive winds. It's just too many points for a game played in those conditions. And so could Buffalo blow them out?
21-13?
No. I mean, I think more likely it's like 13-6 is more likely. Right. And not 6 because of 2 field goals, 6 because of a touchdown by Pittsburgh and a missed extra point. Like, I mean, these conditions are going to be brutal. But Buffalo, oddly, is not as good as you would expect in terrible conditions given where they play. Also, we know Tomlin as an underdog is unbelievable. Josh Allen hasn't covered 7 straight games as a double-digit favorite. And Josh Allen is always over. Josh Allen's 2-6 against the spread in his playoff career. He's always overvalued come the postseason. I'm getting the better coach. And you can't say the better defense because TJ Watt's out for the game. But I'm getting the better coach and a team that wants to run the ball in these terrible conditions. I will take the 10 points. Next.
Dallas minus 7.5 versus Green Bay. I got to tell you, this one's kind of disrespectful. But so
what's disrespectful?
Go ahead. Got Jordan Love on Green Bay. He's good.
I like Jordan Love. Yeah, but the Cowboys are going to score 38 points. So can Jordan Love in his first playoff start ever break 30? That's what he's going to need just to cover. Because the Cowboys are scoring 38 points in this game. The Cowboys' offense at home against that brutal Green Bay defense and Joe Barry coordinating it, no chance. So the Cowboys are going to move the ball at will. A bit of a revenge spot. Mike McCarthy, the team that fired him. Dak, chip on his shoulder that he at least should be in the MVP conversation instead of it just being handed to Lamar. All those things. The Cowboys getting the exact draw that they want. This is my second favorite bet of the weekend. The first 3 games of the 6 games this weekend, I am least confident in Cleveland minus 2.5 against Houston. I am next least confident Pittsburgh plus 10 at Buffalo. And I am next as far as, confidence level, Kansas City minus 4.5 against Miami. The last 3 games are the 3 games I like the most. Dallas minus 7.5 against Green Bay is my second favorite bet of the weekend. I understand the Cowboys are 3-12 against the spread in the playoffs in their last 15 games. And
Cowboys over is literally 37.5. I don't know if you had already known that. But
no, it's not. There's no chance that it is. That's got to be at plus a bunch of money.
Oh, Cowboys total the game?
Yeah, the Cowboys. No, the Cowboys scoring over 37.5 points is plus 265. Is what it is.
Oh,
so
copy.
The Cowboys
Sorry,
team total is plus 2 over. If I'm right, what he's saying is if I'm right, I can get them plus 265 on that. My guess is the Cowboys' actual projected total for the game is 29.5, 30.5. That would be my. I mean, I can look. I don't have to guess. I can just look, or go ahead and Daniel, just put it in the doc for us so we can see what their actual team total is. 30.5. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So that makes sense. All right, Damonza, the next one, because this is my favorite bet of the weekend.
You got the Rams plus 3 at Detroit. Gonna be a good game. Revenge game.
I don't know about that. Who's got the better coach? The Rams. Who has the better quarterback? The Rams. Who has the better defense? The Rams. Now that Laporte is out, who has the better skill position guys? The Rams. Aside from offensive line, what is one edge the Lions have? They don't have one. The wrong team's favored. The Rams right now, of course. Yeah, I mean that is an obvious edge. But you don't get the home field edge of like, oh, and now the Rams got to play in the elements. It's a dome team, obviously. I think that the Rams, right now, I think the Rams are the 5th best team in the NFL. Right now, the only teams I would have ahead of the Rams are the Chiefs, Cowboys, Ravens, and Niners. I think the Rams right now are better than Buffalo. They are just as hot as Buffalo, by the way. They've won 7 of 8. Their one loss was an overtime loss to Baltimore. The team's healthy and playing great. So I love the Rams in this spot. All right, so that's my favorite bet of the weekend. My second favorite bet is the Cowboys minus 7.5, and then number 3 is this. Go ahead, Damonza.
Tampa, the spiteful bet is what we're going to call it. Tampa Bay plus 3 versus Philly.
I mean, listen, I don't like how Tampa looked in Week 18, and Baker's clearly hurt, so that's not good. But Philly is, right now, this moment, Philly's a bottom 5 team in the NFL. They have the worst defense of any playoff team. Their quarterback is banged up and not playing well. Their coach doesn't know what he's doing, and both of their star wide receivers are hurt. Like, what does Philly do well right now? And people are like, the tush push. Well, you got to get to 3rd and short or 4th and short for that. The defense can't stop anyone. Patricia doesn't know what he's doing. Tampa, now because Tampa's far from a great team, they're barely even a good team, and their quarterback's hurt, you're nervous about this spot. But Tampa plus 3, come on. And so I love Tampa. I shouldn't say I love. I really like Tampa in this spot. But the Rams plus 3, Dallas minus 7.5, Tampa plus 3 are my 3 favorite bets. Less confident, Pittsburgh plus 10, Kansas City minus 4.5, and Cleveland minus 2.5. And my dream of going 13-0 in the playoffs, it starts this weekend. All right, what's the offer?
All right, so it's going to be super cold in Kansas City for that game. So we're going to check out the running back who runs harder than anybody in the league, Isaiah Pacheco. 100-plus rushing yards at plus 370. You taking it?
Plus 370 makes it somewhat attractive. Andy doesn't love sticking to the run. And so it's worth a little flyer at plus 370. I certainly like
they're definitely going to be more run heavy than they have any other time throughout this. I mean, I feel like they're not run heavy right now. I feel like they keep it balanced.
No.
But they are going to be running more in this game.
I would think so.
You would imagine, right?
I would think the flip side of that is Miami's pass rush is so decimated. I'll tell you who's with blind bet every game of the playoffs. Mahomes rushing total. Mahomes rushing overs. Every game I'm going to bet it. Mahomes is as effective of a scrambling quarterback, not punishing like Josh Allen or elusive like Lamar, but as far as I can get the yardage I need, as any quarterback in the league, and he doesn't do it much in the regular season because he's trying to stay healthy. In these playoffs, he's going to be running. Mahomes rushing overs, I love. Maybe a little taste on Pacheco there as well. All right, quick break, Damonza. Right back, come back, and answer listener questions. That's next. What's right? All right, welcome back in. What's right with Nick Wright, Damonza? Let's get through some of the listener questions from the chat quickly before we move on.
Scott asks, Nick, do you think, like I do, that this is Mike Tomlin's last game in Pittsburgh?
No, absolutely not. That's not a team that I think is going to fire their coach if they lose in round 1. I don't think it's going to be his last game. I think if there was any questions, he answered them at the way they ended the season. All right, next.
Michael Curtis, should Lakers go all in for someone like Levine or stick with the current roster and make marginal moves?
Well, they stick with the current roster, they're drawing dead. I don't think you have to go all in for Levine. I think you have to go partially in. I don't think you're going to have to give up a ton for Zach LaVine. Probably give up D'Angelo, Rui, and a first-round pick and be able to get Zach LaVine. Bulls have played better without him. But, yeah, the Lakers need to make a significant change. A significant change. Next.
Yeah, maybe bring the in-season tournament back, play a little bit harder. Glass Onion 25 said, really curious to see how who's BB?
Bill Belichick.
Bill
Belichick, doofus.
Bill Belichick does on another team. Will his coaching style work with a new organization that isn't used to his old school ways?
Yeah, no, I think it'll work. I think Belichick's style still works. He's just had terrible quarterback play. And I think that he hasn't necessarily had the best picks of offensive coordinators, and he's had bad quarterback play. It's simple as that. All right, next.
Trevor Barber asks, Nick, do you have any poker tournaments coming up? I enjoy watching you play the pros and taking their money.
Well, last time I played the pros, they took my money. I appreciate that, Trevor. So I have an opportunity to play on Poker Go shortly after the Super Bowl, but I don't know if I'm going to be doing that or not. So I'm not sure. I hope once football's over, that world opens up to me more again. I had an opportunity to go to Houston a few weeks ago, but I couldn't. There's a great tournament series. It wouldn't be on TV right now going on in Atlantic City that I would be going to. But your mother, not shockingly, it's been a couple months, so she's going on a nice little Caribbean vacation for the weekend while I am, just at home in the cold with your baby sister. I thought, Damonza, that my mom was going to be helping out with Deanna this weekend, so I wasn't really tripping about your mom. Your mom is going to locations unknown in the Caribbean for her best friend's birthday. And I just assumed, I guess, that she had worked out with my mom that Deanna would be with my mom. My mom's going out of town. It is wild card weekend. Deanna doesn't even have school Monday because it's MLK Day. And it's just me and her. I'm legit. I'm not going to lie to you, Damonza. You would have been so annoyed with me. I looked in to plane tickets of either you coming here or more likely me sending her to you. Her first ever flight by herself. But I couldn't get it done. I have to watch football all weekend. And the Chiefs play Saturday night. Can you imagine if the Chiefs lose, which they're not going to, but if they lose, the mood I'm going to be in Sunday? It's not good. I'm nervous about this whole situation.
We got a couple options. We got Petrushka. We got,
It's just let's hold on. Let's not name names. I don't like to publicly say people's names.
Yeah, I felt weird about it. I thought about saying ice cream lady, but I didn't want to be disrespectful.
No. Petrushka's, but you did the right thing. Petrushka's fine. She's a public figure. She's it's a social media influencer and ice cream magnate next door. Yeah, maybe for a day, maybe a day.
Just make sure the iPad's charged.
Man. That's all, man. And I love Deanna. Don't get me wrong, and I love spending time with my daughter, but it's wild card weekend. I know how Deanna gets
when football's going on. I've been in that room when Deanna's, dude. It's a question every 10 seconds, man.
Oh my gosh. Well, there we go. Good luck to me. Talk to you guys on TV today at 3. What's right? Hey, it's Nick Wright. Thank you so much for watching. Please do us a favor. Click subscribe. It helps my ego, and Damonza's got a financial bonus writing on a number of YouTube subscribers, so help him out. And also, click the bell. I don't know what the bell does, but they tell me to tell you to click the bell. And your audio listeners, people that have commutes, drives, whatever it is, subscribe to the podcast as well, wherever you get the podcast. Same show, just in your ears instead of through your eyes. All that, check it out. Appreciate y'all.